Hello, guys. Hope you're doing well. I'm Melanie. If you enjoy a good Reddit story, feel free to hit that subscribe button. I won't stop you. Right then, let's crack on with our first story of the day. The first story comes from I Am Gay, Deal With It in the Am I the Asshole subreddit, and it says, Am I the a-hole for treating my coworker differently after she accused me of SA when I saved her life? I'm a quiet guy and genuinely friendly. I treat all my coworkers as friends. About 2 months ago, during a work lunch, one of my coworkers started choking, so I did the Heimlich maneuver to help her. After she was in the clear, the others cheered, and I asked if she was all right. She just nodded and headed to the bathroom without a word, so I didn't think much about it. Until, 2 days later, I got called into human resources for my inappropriate behavior. I was confused and asked for more details. That's when they told me that my coworker had filed a complaint, stating that she felt my actions when I was helping her were inappropriate. My body was too close, and she felt my private touching her. I gave my statement, and they put me on hold. I was still working, but with the potential to be removed, while they investigated further. After a week, I was in the clear. I returned to working normally without fear, but I started distancing myself from the coworker. She tried to apologize, which I accepted, and tried to explain that she had to tell me that she had trauma, but I still took precautions and only treated her as just a colleague. I no longer talk to her unless needed, always keeping my distance, and I no longer invite her out unless there are others. She could feel my hesitance toward her and how I no longer treated her the same as others. She tried to say that I'm being ridiculous and petty, but I told her that I'm just looking after myself. So, am I the a-hole? P.S. Sorry about my English if there are errors. It's my third language. Edit. Wow, this blew up. I'm not very active here, but I have read several comments and direct messages. Sorry, I can't read all. Thanks everyone for the support. I won't make updates, but I have some clarifications. I'm not from or in any English-speaking country. The coworker and I did have a talk with our colleagues nearby, and she agreed to limit contacts to those necessary and related to work. I won't sue her because everything is resolved, and to be honest, it would just bring more problems while wasting money. I also received several direct messages from people with similar experiences as me, which made me sad and relieved that I'm not the only one. I also saw comments about how I'm not considering and don't understand her trauma, which is fair. If you're harassed for real, then you should protect yourself. But I just hope she would come to me about her discomfort since we've known each other for a couple of years. That's it. Again, thank you. Oh my, this is really sad. I swear, I've read a lot of crazy stories, but this one, let me tell you something. If anyone should be feeling uncomfortable right now, it's OP. I mean, he literally saved her life, and yet he's the one who gets thrown under the bus because the coworker can't differentiate between a life-saving act and whatever else she conjured up in her mind. And then, as if that wasn't enough, he had the guts to accept the apology. I've got to give him credit for that, but honestly, you can see why he keeps a cautious distance afterwards. It's just, I don't even know anymore. The nerve of her to call him ridiculous and petty when he's just looking after himself is absurd. On top of that, having him on HR's radar for doing the right thing is just a slap in the face. Personally, if you ask me, how does it even make sense to go through a formal complaint process without trying to resolve things amicably first? Like, if she felt something was off, have a chat. Trust me, I know I'm not the only one losing it right now. It's damn absurd. A Reddit user says, you have to avoid her now. That's the answer. You weren't fired this time, but she has the power to get you fired, and you do not sacrifice yourself in this situation. That will not solve anything and only cause you harm. Crimson Fang Knight says, so she falsely accused you of SA'd when you saved her life in front of a crowd using a widely known medical technique. I would hope your company is looking for a way to let her go, because this lunatic is a massive liability to have around. Pokey Jess says, you're not the a-hole. The real question is, why on earth wasn't she fired? I don't care if she claims to have trauma. False accusations are life-ruining. Pure and simple. I would file a complaint in return. Performance Lanky says, you're not the a-hole. If someone accuses you of SA and goes to the boss or human resources, they don't get to be your friend again when the accusation is proven false. This doesn't become a remember that time story. I would start to document your interactions with this person in case they try and say you're bullying them. Keefe Mac Reefer says, honestly, I'd be contacting a lawyer now. She has created an extremely hostile work environment. False accusations are no joke. Escalating false accusations to human resources is insane. Doing that when you literally saved her life and have witnesses? Nah, forget that. A Reddit user says, "You're not the a-hole. Her trauma is no excuse for making a false report. You could have lost your job and ended up with SA charges. It could have ruined your life. She could feel my hesitance toward her and how I no longer treated her the same as others. She tried to say that I'm being ridiculous and petty, but I told her that I'm just looking after myself. You are absolutely right for protecting yourself. Please inform human resources about what she said and ask to not have to work with her further. Keep them informed about any contact you have with her and do not ever be alone with her." The next story comes from Do Dinner 8036 in the Am I the Asshole subreddit, and it says, "Am I the a-hole for outing my aunt's bedwetting after she kept asking about my sex life? I'm an 18-year-old female, and I am paralyzed from the chest down due to an accident 3 years ago. I live with my older brother, and this past week, he hosted a big family reunion with several other relatives staying in the house, leaving very little privacy. The last time I saw her, my aunt would not stop asking invasive questions about my body and my sex life. I told her multiple times to stop, and she laughed and said that since my care affects the whole family, it does not, it's not really private, which is nonsense. Then on Saturday night, she stayed over and wet the bed. I know because she asked my brother about laundry, and he found out about it and told me. No one else knew. I, of course, wasn't planning on telling anyone because obviously that's embarrassing for her, and I, above anyone, know what it's like to not have full control of my body. But then yesterday, the family had lunch with everyone present, and she started with her nonsense again and joked that my boyfriend is more of a nurse than a lover. I said that perhaps she needs a nurse so she stops wetting herself at night. That did not go over well. I know it's a mean thing to say, but I feel like it's low-key justified. My brother is fully on my side, and he had to keep himself from laughing uncontrollably. The rest of my family is not amused at all. From my perspective, I set a boundary that was ignored, so I matched her energy. Am I the a-hole? Someone says, "Your aunt is gross. Why is she so interested in your reproductive organs?" Not the a-hole. OP responds, "I honestly think she just really wants me to have kids. She's very nosy, but is usually nice otherwise." A Reddit user says, "If you live in a glass house, you shouldn't throw stones. Wet the bed when the whole family can see. You're not the a-hole." On a side note, and I am not saying you're wrong at all, but it may just be that she has some real issues she has never worked out, and her curiosity may be a strange way for her to learn and find ways to better her own life. I think what you said was 100% justified, but if she ever really does apologize, perhaps you two could have a real talk and she can learn that opening up would have been a better option from day one. OP responds, "Yeah, I would be willing to talk to her if she was nicer about it and less specifically nosy. Growing up, she was always the fun aunt who did cool stuff, and I'd like to be on everyone's good side in the end." Kindly Celebration 223 says, "What kind of insane family doesn't eject an older family member who is acting sexually inappropriate towards a teenaged family member? You are not the a-hole. Your family has failed to protect you from an adult family member who is being sexually inappropriate with you. She is disgusting and is coming off like a perverted predator." The last story comes from Boring Tower 3399 in the Am I the Asshole subreddit, and it says, "Am I the a-hole for emptying out my dad's estate? Basically making his will useless? I, a 48-year-old male, have helped my father keep his business afloat for years. I didn't mind. His support when I was young is the only reason I am where I am in life financially. I was able to graduate debt-free and start my own business straight out of university. My stepmother, on the other hand, was never my biggest fan. She thought I should have done more for her and her sons. I was already out of the house when my father married her, so I never felt like I owed her anything, much less her useless kids. Both of my stepbrothers ended up working for my dad's company, but they are useless. They spent most of their time servicing clients, taking clients to lunch and golfing with them, stuff like that. My dad needed help a few times, and rather than let him go under or go to the bank, I gave him loans at a very low interest rate. That way, if he couldn't pay me back, I could write them off as bad debt and get a tax deduction. I know now that he never mentioned the loans to her or her kids. And when I say kids, these are men in their 30s. My dad got sick 2 years ago, and my stepbrothers actually had to work. The company was pretty solid now, and they couldn't screw it up too badly. My dad and his accountant were still in day-to-day control. He just couldn't go into the office. 6 months ago, my father rewrote his will. He left everything to my stepmother and stepbrothers. I was left tokens, sentimental gifts. I don't need the money, but I could smell the nonsense. So I sold my loans to a business competitor of my father, with the provision that I would personally make the payments until my dad passed away. So basically, they get the company when my dad dies. I got my money back, so I was happy. When my dad passed, I got my stuff from his estate. Just photo albums and other things of that nature. My stepmother got the house and a retirement fund, and the three of them got the company. They came to me about the loans after they figured out how much my dad owed me. They wanted to keep the same deal, basically 1% interest and really lax views on collecting payments. I told them that I had already divested myself of any involvement with my dad's company and that they had to deal with a different creditor who would probably want to collect in full or renegotiate. They think I'm an asshole for saddling them with debt instead of the solvent cash cow they thought they were getting. It's still a viable company, and they can go to a bank themselves and get a loan to pay it off. Then they have a company that has debt payments to make. Lots of good companies like that. Also, I think I exaggerated in the title. I didn't empty out the estate. My stepmother has enough money to last her until she dies, unless she spends it foolishly on herself and her sons. And my stepbrothers both have shares in a good company that has an excellent accountant. If they actually decide to work, it will support them and their families forever. Collywobbles, Mama weighs in. You're not the a-hole. You made the agreement with your dad because he was your dad and raised you well. You owe them nothing. A Reddit user says, so let me get this straight. Your stepmother took everything from your father's estate, leaving you with nothing. And she's complaining that she is getting the raw deal? You must know you're not the a-hole. OP responds, I had already received a large inheritance when my mom passed away years ago. All my dad really had was the house, some savings, and the business. And, like I said, the business will require actual work to function. If they are smart, they will sell everything to the company that holds their debt now. Then, go find regular jobs. Oh my God, this story is such a wild ride, isn't it? We started out thinking it was your classic family drama, but then, boy, did it take a turn for the unexpected. All right, I know I'm merely reacting to text here, but I can feel the heat emanating from those familial tensions. Your stepmother and stepbrothers and their expectations? Absolutely absurd. I mean, it practically sets a new bar for entitlement, doesn't it? Seriously, how can someone think they are owed a free ride just because of family ties? But let's step back from that madness, all right? We've all got our thoughts spinning at 100 miles per hour, and I need to reach out to you lovely viewers to help make sense of this chaos. So, if you've got some burning thoughts or piercing takes on this chaotic tale, spill the tea in the comments. And if you haven't had enough of these captivating family dilemmas and twists of fate tales, go ahead and binge watch our collection of crazy stories and leave no stone unturned in perplexity. Believe me, there's more where this came from. Until next time, folks, keep your heads up and your rants sharper.